All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for attending the Monday meeting today. I really appreciate it when you join these because I do go over a lot of information, especially if it's having to do with NAR and buyer rep agreements and things like that. I'm trying to keep everybody up to date as much as possible on these meetings, so it really helps when you join and come in and listen live basically. So or the replay works as well. So a couple things before we get started. In 2 weeks, we're gonna have Jeff Lobb, who is a national real estate coach. He does a lot of live speaking events. He's the one that also put together Coach 52, the Coach 52 platform, which everybody here has access to for free. He's got a lot of coaching in there that is just part of the platform. Plus, he does do a Facebook Live once a month that he streams. That's always really good material. He usually has a guest speaker on. Anyways, he's going to come on in 2 weeks, and it's probably going to be a longer meeting, maybe an hour and a half or so. I really encourage you to join in on that one. He's going to be going over basically scripts and objections for buyers and sellers post NAR, so NAR settlement. So he's going to be talking a lot about how to handle these objections and commission conversations and things like that. So it's going to be a really good meeting. Please join us definitely for that one. Like I said, it's probably going to run a little long, maybe an hour and a half. But I'm thankful that he's coming on. It'll be a good meeting. So today I'm going to go over generating listings with mailers. I know a lot of people say mailers are dead, they don't work. I tried them once, different things like that. I want to go over how to make these things work for you because I actually built my listing business off of mailers. I used to, way back in the day, send out bulk mail. I had probably the worst trifold piece of paper flyer that you could ever imagine. I mean, this was early 2000s. Graphics weren't super great for, making a flyer and stuff like that. We didn't have all these programs that we do now. We are doing stuff in Word, basically, which didn't leave a lot of options. But I had a horrible flyer that I would send out every couple months. Usually I wasn't real consistent with it, but I would send out a lot of pieces. I'd send out 10,000 pieces, 15,000 pieces, and it was very expensive. But I always got listings from it. If I sent out 10,000 pieces of mail, I would pretty much guarantee myself about 8 listings over the course of about 2 months. Usually the weekend that the mailer dropped, that upcoming week, I would go on probably 3 or 4 listing appointments. It was kind of chaotic and crazy, and but it worked. But it was so expensive back then because of the amount I was mailing. We didn't have the data that we do these days. Excuse me. So it was a kind of a spray and pray. I would hit zip codes that I wanted to work in. Usually I would do like 2 zip codes at a time. Obviously 10,000, 15,000 pieces doesn't cover an entire zip code. But I would, it was just what we did. But it always worked. It was very consistent. Whenever I wanted to get listings, I would just drop a mailer and I would have listings for months. These days, we have access to a lot more data these days, and it's much easier to do these mailers for very, very little money because we have the access to the data and we can build better postcards and better flyers and things like that now than we used to be able to a long time ago. And I think for a period of time, a lot of people did drop off on the mailers because everything got internet heavy, right? So I have done some test runs lately. I've coached a couple of our real estate agents on our team here at Rise on doing these. They have gotten listings from what I'm about to teach you today. So with that said, I have a short presentation and then I'm going to go into kind of doing it live if you want to see how to generate the mailing list and things like that based off of data. And the data is what I want to kind of go over first. Um, so the reason why I want to touch on listings right now is, it's always been listings to last, right? Um, most seasoned agents have transitioned to being a listing agent, because you can kind of all but guarantee your commission, for working. You're working with buyers, it's a lot of driving around, it's a lot of hassle. Sometimes they leave you, they go with a listing agent or something like that. And after next month, we really, really should be listing focused to have the greatest chances of controlling our commission. Um, so if this is what you've been thinking, then I want you to give this a serious look today, because this is super, super cheap. I put $150 in here a month because it seems like most people can do at least $100 or $150 a month in advertising costs. And if you're not doing anything else and you have a very, very small marketing budget, this is something you can do. I'm going to break down every cost of this so you know exactly how to do this. And this will be for a 6-month period. And you're really going to need to commit for a 6-month period, because that's one of the reasons mailers don't work for a lot of agents, is because they do a one shot, maybe they do it twice, and they're like, this doesn't work, I'm not going to do it anymore. That was really expensive, you know? And so I want to show you the better way of doing it, so that, I don't want to see anybody waste money. I only, try and give you guys ideas that actually work and are the most cost effective available. So, I could say that, I have a story I've told a couple times. One is, I don't know, many years ago, I went to an event. It was a YPN event, if you're familiar with YPN, and it was called Old School versus New School. And basically what they had is they had a panel of 3 old school agents and 3 new school agents, and they were just firing off questions to this panel of agents. And these are all, they were successful people in, in the area, in the region. And they started off with the old school, and they're asking them, how do they get their business and things like that. And pretty much all 3 of them had very similar answers, and it all revolved around their sphere of influence, their SOI. And that is where they spent their money, is on their SOI these days. These are 15, 20-year veterans, maybe even more. And so they would do client appreciation parties and, a lot of CRM work as far as keeping in contact with them. They do pop buys and all this other stuff that they would do to maintain their sphere of influence and getting referrals from their sphere of influence. And then the new school, which were primarily, they were successful agents. Most of them were about 5 years in the business. Some of them a little less, some of them just slightly more, but I'd say, right around that 5-year mark. And they talked a lot about, Facebook marketing and internet, and they were doing Google pay-per-clicks and things like that. And they were in the lead generation. They're real heavy into spending dollars on lead generation. And then basically building up their sphere of influence, because they were starting without a book of business, which is where I know a lot of real estate agents are these days. We have a lot of newer agents on the team here, or agents that, maybe haven't done a real good job of maintaining their SOI over the years, and maybe they've lost contact and things like that. So this webinar is for you. So this is how you can start. You have to start building your database, your sphere of influence, one way or another, right? Because you can't just jump into getting referrals all the time if you don't have that sphere of influence to work with. And maybe, you're new to the area, or, maybe you've moved you were in a previous job and you didn't really have that kind of network in the area that you practice real estate. So this is one way for you to start building your database now so that in the upcoming years, you can start shifting into a more referral-based type business, which would be, where those old school agents were. They were just maintaining, they were real lead gen heavy earlier in their career, and now they're just maintaining SOI, and that's where they're getting all their listings and things like that. And I do have some statistics on that in this presentation. So let's go ahead and get into it. So if we take a look at where agents are getting their listings, and I talked to a lot of agents. We have a pretty big team here now. I think we're creeping up on about 350 agents here at the company. The majority of the listings I see from our team are coming from their sphere of influence. It's their friends, their family, their coworkers, or referrals from past clients. NAR data actually does back this as well. If you look at information, NAR, CAR, even local associations have got so much data at their fingertips. I mean, they actually sell the data. That's how they, actually stay in business as well. But they have so much of it, and it's because of the MLS really, and, polls and other things that they do. So they found that 65% of sellers found their agent through a referral from a friend or a neighbor or a relative, or used an agent they had worked with before to buy or sell a home. So that's a pretty high amount. So we're talking about listings only. And 65% of those sellers, found their agent basically through SOI. 81% of recent sellers contacted only one agent before finding the right agent they worked with to sell their home. That's a pretty high number. Now, I'm sure some of that, attributes to that agent was referred to them through SOI, but also it's just timing. And that's a lot of what my mailers were before, was timing. My mailer hit that household at the right time when that seller was considering selling their home. So, and that's why I would send out so many, because I was like, okay, well, the odds are someone, in this neighborhood wants to sell their home and they're going to like what I'm pitching them, right? So, and it was very easy. I rarely had competition on the mailers. Usually I'd go there, I'd take my listing stuff with me, I would take the listing. They weren't interviewing other agents usually or anything like that. So it was usually pretty easy. 46% of sellers use the same agent to purchase a home and sell their home. So that's another reason why listings are so important, because there's almost half are also buying a home from that same agent that listed their home. Reasons why they might not, maybe they're moving out of the area, out of the state, things like that. So I'm sure there's other reasons too. Maybe they went and rented, but you have almost 50% chance that you are also going to represent them on a purchase. So now, whatever dollars you've spent to obtain that listing, actually you're going to get two sides out of it, about half the time, which is a pretty good number in my opinion. A share which rises to 84% for sellers who purchased a new home within 10 miles. So if maybe a move up or a move down buyer or seller, 84% of them used the same agent that listed their house. So now, I mean, that's a really high number. The chances of you not double ending, but having two sides out of that listing, if they are moving locally on a move up or move down, are pretty great, actually. 75% of the sellers reported that they provided the agent's compensation. The typical seller has recommended their agent once since selling their home. 20% of the sellers recommended their agent 4 or more times since selling their home. So this is where, the database building comes into play, because they're telling me right now, the data that they have, most home sellers have referred their listing agent to a friend or family member or someone else. So this is where you start building that referral business over the years. And, you know, when you're building your database and you're building your career, and this is what you want to do, for the next 10, 20 years of your life, you can't just expect overnight results. This is something that takes some time, no matter what you're doing. I'm not talking about just mailers, I'm just talking about business building in general. So the more people that you're transacting with, the more referrals you're going to start receiving over time. And then you start transitioning to that old school agent where now you're just maintaining database and staying in front of all the people you've worked with over the years. And that becomes very, well, I mean, it can be expensive if you're really pushing for a long time, or if you're just wanting to maintain, you're talking some, much smaller marketing dollars per month, typically, once you get to that point in your career. So what do you do if you don't have a large sphere of influence, where you practice real estate, or you haven't sold any or maybe zero homes? I mean, you have to start somewhere, right? So this is very inexpensive to jump into the listing side of the business rather than repping buyers all the time and building your business through there. Now, buyer leads are not bad because there's a percentage of the buyer leads that are also going to be sellers because they need to sell a home, but we're talking about going direct to listings. So that's where, this second data point comes into play for mailers. If 81% of sellers are transacting with the first agent that contacts them, this is why mailers do work really, really well, because that's a very high number. If you're hitting them at the right time, they're probably going to call you if you have a really good value proposition, which I'm going to cover later. This is where you start building your database from small or zero, depending on where you are in your career. You have to start somewhere. And so you can start by doing these mailers, getting your listings, and starting to build that referral base as well as reviews, all of this kind of stuff. Experience comes into it as well too. The more transactions you're doing, the more experience you get, the better you get at just the business in general. I did provide a link to the NAR. If you want to read the full profile, it's from 2023. Obviously, they don't have the 2024 one yet, but it's got a lot of great data in there if you're trying to see, who's buying, who's selling, why, motivations, all that stuff. It's a pretty good little report. Okay, so let's look at some data now. You want to use available data to target the right homeowners at the right time when you're doing mailers. This is a huge cost-cutting technique when it comes to mailers. This can take you from thousands of dollars a month down to 100, 150, or whatever your budget is. If you have $1,000 a month, you can still do this same thing, just on a larger scale that I'm going to show you. So let's look at how long people stay in their homes. So median tenure in California's top 30 cities, for a single family home is 4.7 years. For a condo, it's 5.3, 2 to 4 units, 4.8, and then total for everything is just under 5 years. So of how long they stay. They broke it down by square footage as well. So less than 500 square foot. So we're talking a very small, a studio apartment or something like that. They're staying about a little over 4.5 years. A residence that's 500 to 1,000 square feet, they're staying about 5 years. Over 5,000, they're staying about 5.1. Those are the two highest. These numbers aren't skewed by that much. I mean, we're not talking huge swings here. Basically, we're looking at 5 years, right, of about how long people stay in their home in California, in the top 30 cities anyways. Obviously, this is going to change region to region. There was some areas that are faster. People leave their homes faster, and some stayed 10, 11 years. Some were up to like 17 years, some areas, some of the more exclusive areas. By home age, they broke it down by home age. So if the home is 5 years or newer, they're only staying about 2 years. So if you're hitting a new home track, if that's something you want to mail to, you're going to want to target people who have been there for about 2 years or more. Maybe it's, the home is, the tract is 5 years old or less. So you'd want to start hitting people that have owned the home for 2 or more years. And then 6 to 10 years, 5. Again, we're looking at fives here. The only anomaly is newer homes, actually. So top cities with the shortest homeowner tenure: Elk Grove, Sacramento. For whatever reason, they're only staying in homes a little over 2 years in those areas. We get into Southern Cal, and most people are staying, looks like 4 to 5 years for the most part. In a lot of these major cities. So if you are in one of these cities, you're going to want to use this data when you're producing your mailing list, which again, I'm going to show you here shortly. Top cities with the longest homeowner tenure: Salinas, Fremont. I mean, Salinas is, geez, 9.3 years. Another anomaly there. But again, we're looking at just over 5 to 6 years here. So, I mean, the magic number seems to be about 5 if we're really looking at this. So I can do the search on MLS to show you what this looks like when you're determining who are you going to send a mailer to. Now, you want to choose your farm area based on data and not emotions. I know a lot of agents are like, well, I really want to get a listing in my neighborhood, or I want to be the go-to, agent in my neighborhood, or I really want to start selling homes over in that neighborhood because I like it a lot. That's not a good way to generate a mailing list, because you have to look at how many homes are selling in the neighborhood on a year-long basis. And that's what I look at as far as criteria. So I will pull up MLS, and I can do it live if you want, and pull up neighborhoods of, about 300 or 400 homes. I do filter out condos and manufacturers and things like that. I want to look at single families if that's what I'm targeting. If you're going to do condos, I would recommend, again, using the same criteria, but doing one community, one condo community at a time in the area, because you do need to look at the data, because one condo, community in this area versus this other one, residents may not be selling very much in this other one, but if you find one condo community where there's a lot of turnover, that could be a good target. Otherwise, just filter out all of that, just do single family homes, about 300 to 400, neighborhood size. And you want to pull up active pending solds in the past 12 months. And that number that comes up in the search has to be 12 or more. The more, the better. But if a neighborhood, if you pull up 300 or 400 homes in this neighborhood and you only see 3 sales or 3 transactions, whether they're active, pending, sold in the past 12 months, I would not send my mailer there, because if you're sending out a mailer every single month, you only have, a chance of actually getting a listing appointment 3 or maybe 4 times a year if there's only, 3 or 4 homes selling in that area. Those odds are not very good. I mean, I would not take those to Vegas. So now, if there is an average of 1 home selling every month in this particular neighborhood, even if it's not every month, but on average, if there are 12 or more things happening in that neighborhood in the course of a year, then the chances of someone calling you when you drop your mailer that month are going to be much greater because there's higher activity in that neighborhood. So you want to choose the neighborhood off of data and not emotion. So we're looking at 300 to 400. We're looking at least 12 sales per year. The more, the better. And then what I do is I go over to Realist or CRS, whatever you want to call it, and I'll use that same data point, the map I draw around the neighborhood. I'll put it into Realist, and then I'm going to filter out all of the people who have lived in their homes 5 years or less, because the chances that they are going to sell their home are pretty slim. You want to hit people that have been there 5 years or more. We just saw the data on that. And that's going to knock this 300 to 400 mailing list down actually fairly significantly if you take a look at it. Because it's not always a sale. Sometimes it's off market. Other things do happen. Maybe it becomes a rental, stuff like that. So it's going to knock down that list quite a bit. If you're wanting to spend 150 a month, you're going to need a mailing list of about 260 or so, just based on the costs, and I'll go over the costs in a second. So if we want to look at how you'd perform this search, hopefully you can still see my screen. I'm in CRMLS. You could do this with any of the MLSs. It doesn't even matter which one you belong to. So go over to detail. You're going to do coming soon, active, all of those, single family. And then you can go over to the map. Oops, sorry. I need to fix something real quick before I go to the map. It defaults to 180 days, but we want to see a full year of data. So now we're going to go to the map search. So if you start zooming in on some areas, and maybe you have some areas where there's higher volumes of sales and things like that, but and maybe because I'm on Zoom, usually what happens, yeah, there we go. It starts showing you the number of, sales happening in that area, activity in the area. And you could jump right to some of the higher numbers, like this right here, probably not going to be a great area. I mean, I can zoom in on it and find out, but now 161, okay, well, let's see what's going on over here. You can start seeing all the for sales and things like that in this area, and there's, it looks pretty decent. Some of these neighborhoods look like they've got pretty good concentration going on. So you could, I'm not going to go super deep into this, but choose your neighborhood, and I'll let you guys do your own research, but basically you're going to look at this neighborhood. This might be 300 to 400 homes, could be a little more, could be a little less. And I mean, there's 33 in this little block that I did. It's probably kind of large. Yeah. You can even make that a little smaller. I mean, there's good volume in this neighborhood right here. If you go to the one line, you can kind of see what's going on. Fair amount of active, so there are things coming on the market here. You can sort it by the date if you want, which I do like to do, because I want to see more results per page is what I want to see. So you can see in this area that going back a year, there is almost a home selling every single month in this neighborhood right here. So for me, this is a neighborhood that I would want to research a little bit as far as developing my mailing list, my farm, because there's at least a home selling every month in this neighborhood. So the chances of someone calling me when my flyer drops are going to be pretty high because there's people selling every month in this neighborhood. So you want to give yourself the best odds. Price points also not too bad. So this is an area I'd really consider working. So that's what your simple search is really going to look like, and you'll want to refine it down to maybe some specific neighborhoods or, major cross streets or something like that, so that you can duplicate that map that you drew into um, either CRS, which is, realist tax here, or to give to your title agent if, maybe they can work with you on getting mailing labels and things like that. We've got a quick question here. Let me grab that. Will there be a recorded copy of this? Yes, I actually don't know that I'm going to post this publicly on YouTube. I wanted to save it more for our team, but it will be in our private Facebook group. So if you're a member there, this will get reposted in there later. And I'll also provide the presentation material. So back over here. So now, second step is draw the same search parameters in Realist as you did in MLS. And then you're going to filter out all the homes in the area that have sold for the past 5 years. Additionally, or alternatively, you may be working with a title rep that you can say, hey, take these parameters right here between these streets, this block, this neighborhood, whatever it is, after you've done your research, and tell them that you want all the homeowners who have lived there 5 years or more, unless you're in one of those cities that is, had different data. But for the most part, it looks like about 5 years is the magic number. And maybe they can provide you with the mailing label list or PDFs that are in a mailing list format, which I can show you. Yeah, Leo just had worked with a title company. He's doing this exact thing right now. I've been coaching a few of our agents on our team through this. So let's go back over to Realist real quick. So now we're in Realist. You can go to search. And I'm not going to pull up the exact, but you'll go to my, instead of quick search, come over here to my search. And some of the Realist accounts out there, Fresno's a little different. I think the MLS, I think, is a little different as well. But you just have to learn how to use Realist. You'll go over here and you can still draw your map. So let's say we wanted to go and do the same thing over here. And now I'm not going to pull up the exact one just for sake of time, but you can still draw a polygon. And let's just say it was, about like this. And you can go down to recording date. And we want is greater than, and sometimes this gets a little glitchy. Actually, I'm just going to type it in. We'll do 01. So we'll go 5 years back. So we'll go to 2017. I mean, sorry, 2019. 2019. Why did it? Sorry, I missed it. It's greater than 01, 2019. So you see our matches came down to 230 now. So we have 230 homeowners in this block here that I made. And I don't know if you caught how many there were before. We had 1,000 matches. We put in the recording date is greater than that. We get it down to 230. So that essentially is your mailing list. Now there's a function in here. If you want to do this on the cheat sheet, or maybe you don't have a title rep that can help you get mailing labels. You could go straight over here to labels down at the bottom. Sorry, I need to search first. And it might take a second. Because we're on Zoom. Of course, it doesn't want to work right now. Naturally, right? So let me do that. Yes, we did that. Well, usually I press search and I go to labels. I don't know why it's running really, really slow at the moment. So it'll go to the mailing label next. And I wish I can show that, but it's not showing it. Oh, that's probably why right there. This is gonna change. Okay, I still had a negative in there. So now it's going to pull up my 230. There they are. And then I'm gonna go to labels. And I choose the Avery 5161s because of the format. You get 3 rows across of mailing labels. You can design your label right here, mixed uppercase, lowercase. You can do all capital letters if you wanted to, if you want the mailing label, the name and the address to be all caps. We want to use the tax billing address because the property could be a rental or something like that. And, the owner lives somewhere else. So we want it to go to the owner actually and not the resident necessarily. We want to eliminate duplicate labels. And then you're going to create. And then what'll happen is it's going to save a file up here. I don't have Word. You can still use Word even if you don't have Word, just to get to save it as like a PDF. I don't know if it's pulling up or not, but you can see that it formats these exactly how you want. Now you just take your labels and you pop them in your printer and you print them off. And that's all you have to do. And that's what you're going to use. Like I said, alternatively, if you have a title company that would provide you this instead, cuts out a couple steps. So we're talking about doing this on the cheap until you get into a flow and your budget starts to get a little bigger. You can start paying companies to do this for you and stuff like that. But we're talking about just getting started with your first couple mailers, okay? So that's how you're gonna grab your mailing list. Let me go back over here. So let's look at the cost here. Startup and monthly cost. So you have to commit to at least 6 months because again, with any marketing really, but if you can do a year, even better, but you have to commit to 6 months because you may not get a listing on that first drop. You may. I know one of our agents who did get a listing, took the listing first drop. So, and it was also her first listing she ever took. So commit to 6 months and commit to doing it on a monthly basis, at least every 4 weeks. If you can do every 3 weeks, that's even better. But at minimum, because of your budget, commit to 1 mailer a month for the next 6 months. Set aside that money, whatever it is. That's what you need to do, though. Otherwise, this will not work. You're going to be horribly disappointed if you send out 1 mailer and say, I didn't get a listing, and then you stop. Okay. It has to be over the course of the next 6 months. Set a budget for how much you can spend per month on the mailers for the next 6 months. And this is for postage, okay? So if you have $200, then you do the math on that. If you can do 300, if you could do 100, essentially it doesn't really matter what your budget is, but just make it be a budget that you can commit to on the minimum for the next 6 months on a monthly basis. You can see, if it's going to be $150 that you can commit to, You're going to need a farm size of about 268 homes. I just generated 230 on my search. The postcard stamp is 56 cents. You can see right here, I took a snip straight from the USPS. So the current price is 56 cents for a stamp to go on a postcard to mail out. So, do the math on whatever your budget is. And then and that's strictly going to be for postage. Obviously, you're going to need postcards. This is my recommendation. So that to help you commit to the 6 months is to not buy a set of postcards, don't buy 268 postcards every month. Buy bulk for your 6-month period. You're going to get the best pricing on it, and you're going to have them ready. There's going to be no excuses for you not to do the mailer because you already have your postcards and labels ready, right? So if your farm size is about 268 per month that you're going to be sending out over the next 6 months, then you're going to need about 1,600 postcards. You can cut your 6 months short, your last month short by a few if you want to. I just took Vistaprint pricing here. If you were to buy 1,500 of these things, it's $95, 7 cents a piece. If you want to do the 2,000, that's going to be a little more than 6 months worth of postcards. It'd be $114. So you can see that the startup is really not very much for this either. So we're talking $114 if you want to maybe run this for 7 or 8 months, or $95 if you want to cut it a little short on the 6th month there. So less than $100, you have all your postcards ready to go. Next thing, you're going to need those Avery labels. If you can't get them from your title company, you will need them. I like the 5160s. Just simple Amazon search. I left a link here. Is going to be, there we go. Shop around, but look, you can get 3,000 of these things for $25. So there's probably coupons. That's for 3,000 of them. If you want, if you're going for the smaller amount, you can get 1,500 of them for $23. There's really not much price difference. I think I'd probably just grab the 3,000 in case I want to continue, which I think you will want to continue after you do this for a little bit and you start seeing success from it. So now you have 6 months worth of marketing material between your labels and your postcards for $130. That's your startup cost, $130. Your postage for the next 6 months is going to be roughly $150 per month, or whatever it is you decide your budget is. So you're looking at an all-in cost for 6 months worth of marketing for $1,030 roughly. That's total all in. And we're not talking this today. We're talking about at the end of 6 months, you will have spent $1,030. If you get even one listing from that, which I believe you will get 2 to 3 sides over the course of 6 months, pretty easily, actually. I'm confident in 2 to 3 sides. I'm talking about listing and buying, or double ending the listing, things like that. You have to count it per side. You have to count how much revenue are you actually taking in from this $1,030 campaign you're going to run for the next 6 months, or at the end of 6 months. So even if you get one, that price alone is going to be far less expensive than what you're seeing on pay at close models. So if you're talking about a Zillow Flex or an Upnest or anything else at a pay at close model, they want 35% of that commission. That's a lot of money. It usually amounts to several $1,000s per transaction. Just for the ease of you not wanting to, commit to marketing, you'd rather pay at close than pay up front. But you see the cost difference there is so significant that this actually ends up being far less expensive, and you're generating it on your own. You're not relying on anybody else. You're creating a farm, you're creating a database. This is building longevity in the business is what you're doing for yourself. So I think most people can commit to $100 to $150 a month, a very nominal amount of money to have a very targeted mailer go out. So what are you going to put on the postcards to get people to call? So now we've just generated a high intent mailing list of, very targeted. It's manageable, it's not expensive. So now we got to talk about the mailers, and this is where I see a lot of agents get frustrated, or they're sending out pieces of mail that just are not going to work. It's just throwing money down the pipe. So we don't want to do that. Let's think about, what do you get in the mail from businesses, on a daily basis? And we all call it junk mail, whatever you want to call it. But if you get mail from a business, what is it usually going to be? It's going to be some sort of coupon, right? I mean, it's something, some sort of deal, some sort of high value proposition, a value proposition to get you to buy something online or to visit them in store and use that coupon, right? Buy one, get one free, or buy one, get one half off, or, $5 off, or whatever it is. Now, obviously, we don't do that as real estate agents. We don't have, a product that we're trying to sell or a storefront we're trying to get them into so they can shop around and buy more stuff. But we can still send out high intent value propositions. And before you, say, I'm not going to do any of these because I'm worth more than that, I fully understand you. Yes, if you are going to be discounting your listing fee and you're like, well, I'm worth 2%, I'm worth 2.5%. I can agree. I know what my time is worth, and you should know what your time is worth as well. However, if you do not have any business going on and you do not have a sphere of influence, then truthfully, your time is going to be worth a little less because you need to start building that ASAP. You are in the new school era of your business, from the YPN story. So you have to start building your database so that when you get further down in your career, you have this database built up. So yes, you're going to have to put out some really strong value propositions to get people to call you so that you can start doing business, right? And you don't want to get focused on, let's say you send out a 1% mailing campaign, 1% listing fee mailing campaign. You're like, oh, okay, well, it's a $600,000 sale or whatever. I'm only going to make $6,000. I think this is where agents really fail themselves because you're not looking at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is, what are you going to get off of that listing? You have open house opportunities. You have a sign in the yard, most likely. You can share with your sphere of influence on social media about this listing you just took. They see you're working. That's a small opportunity to start getting referrals. You can market that listing with other postcard campaigns or door knocking or whatever you want to do, circle prospecting on the phone, whatever you want to do. But the opportunity to generate more business off of that 1% listing fee listing that you took is where you're going to see the extra money come in from that type of campaign. And that's what I always saw because I used to run a 1.5% way back in the day when I was building up my database, and people called on it left and right. And I sold a lot of homes from that 1.5% listing fee. After Redfin came around, it was the Redfin pitch, right? The 1% listing. But if you look at the fine print, not everything that they do is 1%, right? That's the hook. it's 1%, but if the home is under a certain price point, it is not 1%. Or if you do not also buy a home with a Redfin agent, it's also not 1%. So you can set parameters of what your programs are going to look like. This headline here on your postcard, which I have some examples I'll show you, is just to get them to call. That's all you want, right? You want to connect or get to your website or fill out something on your landing page or whatever. You want to connect with them somehow. So if you're running a 1% listing fee, you can have stipulations on your 1% listing fee program, such as if it's under a certain price point, or if you don't buy a home from me, or whatever else you want to do, then you can have that as a program. Make yourself a little flyer as part of your listing presentation on what the rules are for this offer that you're giving. Same thing with the 30-day sold guarantee. This is a good one. I'm sure you've seen billboards and things like that. Also a good one. May or may not be quite as strong, but you're not pigeonholing yourself into, a certain commission at that point. Cash for home in any condition, the I buy ugly homes. You can run that type of campaign too, especially if you are an agent who also buys homes for flipping purposes and things like that. That could be a good one. But truthfully, the discounted listing fee is a very strong one to kickstart your business. And this does not have to be your forever proposition. This is over the course, well, at minimum, the next 6 months, but you may want to run this for a couple of years while you build up this database of people you've worked with so that you can get to the old school mentality and stage of your business and start just getting referrals, and you're not having to discount your fee at that point, because now you have all these referrals coming in from past business and clients and family and friends and all that stuff. So look far down the road. Don't think about right now's commission and how much you feel you should make off of that listing, because you're going to get opportunity in other ways to make that extra commission from other things that you will get, other business you will get from that listing. So 952. Okay, a few more things. What else do you need on the mailer? You need a strong call to action. So I like to do multiples on the mailers, because really I want to get this person into my database, even if they don't call me. The QR codes are pretty cool now. They kind of died off. They came around, they kind of died off. COVID really brought them back a lot. People understand them, they know how to use them. They're still used pretty heavily. They're not foreign. Most people know what to do with a QR code these days. So I would recommend on your postcard putting all of these things, your phone number, but say call or text, because some people just want to text, call or text. Put your email on there, put a QR code going to a landing page on your website that has information about your program that you're running, whether it's 30-day sold or 1% listing fee or whatever. You can have the QR code lead to a recorded video of yourself talking about how you're going to get top dollar for their home as their listing agent if they choose you. You can run it to a home value site, and we have these as part of our marketing packages. They work well. These little home value sites that give them the instant valuation, plus it's a lead capture. Those are great too, to use as QR codes. And then also, a web URL to maybe reviews or to some sort of landing page or lead capture on a website. So you're giving them multiple ways to get in contact with you, to find out information on you. You'll want all or most of these on your mailer. So let's take a look at what that looks like. And these have gone out. We've created these. If you would like these, you can just ask us. We have these all prepped up. We've got a bunch of them. If you wanted to run, let's say, a 1% listing fee program. So this is very simple. We don't need anything extravagant. This is a cut to the chase. Here's my offer. Are you selling your home or not? Basically, I will sell your home for top dollar. It will be a 1% listing fee. Obviously, this does not include the buyer's agent's commission. That's a conversation you're going to have with them, and you should be having that conversation with them now anyways, and post NAR settlement, next month, we're probably going to be having that conversation a lot more. So we're talking about just the fee the homeowner is going to pay for your services of selling their home. Now you can lead this to, like I said, a video, a home value site, whatever you want to do. Call or text. Here's my email. Here's my, website. You can put whatever image you want right here. It doesn't really even need to be anything that extravagant. These are what you would order basically your 1,500 of, is something like this, where they are, those are going to be your monthly mailers. Now, let's say you get a listing your first month or your second month or whatever. Your next campaign after that, you can, if you wanted to spend, an extra $100 that month or $150 that month, get a supplemental postcard, because these work really good as a follow-up campaign. So let's say you get the listing and then you're getting ready to do your next mailer the next month. You might want to do something like this, because this is showing proof of success to the neighborhood that you're mailing it. You're saying, look, your neighbor just listed with me. Here's the street. Here's a picture of the house. And they're going to go, hey, that house looks like my house. Or it looks like a house in my neighborhood. I know where that house is. I drive by it every day, whatever. We're still offering a 1% listing fee. We're still doing a sell your home for top dollar. Here's how, or get your home value or whatever. All the same things, but now we're doing a proof of success campaign as a follow-up. So that's going to go out to the people the following month instead of your first one, because now we're showing them, look, your neighbor's using me and you should too, So, and you can make these in various different ways. You can milk this so much, your neighbor's under contract, same thing, all the same value propositions as we've had before, but now we're saying, not only did I list it, we're also under contract already. So this is why you want to use me if you're thinking about selling your home. So, we do have a full campaign all the way down to the sold side if you're wanting something like this and something that is effective. Things that are not effective in mailers, and you probably see them all the time, sending out calendars, sending out recipes, neighborhood updates, as far as what's selling in the neighborhood or something like that. Those are semi-effective, but there's still no value proposition there. You're just saying, hey, look, here's some data. You're not giving them any real reason to give you a call. We want to give them a reason to call, because this offer right here is too good for them to pass up, or it could be the 30-day sale guarantee, or, you buy ugly houses or whatever. But, this one is probably one of the strongest ones. Like I said, we're only talking about kickstarting your listing career or kickstarting your listings. Doesn't have to be a forever campaign. This is to get you going. So, think long-term on this, and think that you do have to start building your database. If you have nothing going on right now, or it's very, very slow, you have to do something to start building up that database so that you can start getting more and more referrals, because that's where most of your listings in the future will be coming from, is from referrals. And you want to get to that point. So this is to get you to that point. This is not a forever, I'm going to run this for the next 20 years of my life in this business. This might be a 2 or 3 year campaign for you. You might modify it a little bit. It depends on how much money you're throwing at it, really. So I'm going to get some questions here. Does Res Realty have a website that an agent can connect to, like mynameresrealty.com? We do have the roster page, and if you want to email Roxanne, she can set you up with something like that you're talking right here. myname.riserealtyca.com. Yes, it can be an agent page. You'll email Roxanne at info@riserealtyca.com. Ask her if she can make you an agent site. Okay. Couple other questions. So if the seller will pay the buyer agent fee, is there a separate agreement we can have them sign? If the seller will pay, that's gonna be through the MLS, well, some MLSs in the concessions and price. It looks like you're just gonna put the total fee in the listing agreement that you're gonna be charging if there is gonna be a co-op there, or it's basically gonna be negotiated through buyer rep agreements in the RPA moving forward for the most part. Right now, we're only talking about the value proposition to the homeowner to get the listing, and we're talking about what we're going to be charging them. Let's see, is there an embedded link we can put on our websites? If the seller will pay the buyer agent fee, is there a separate agreement we can have them sign? So same question. So with that noted, there have been a couple of websites popping up where agents are sharing what the co-op of the listing will be. That is going to get you in trouble. Do not join those sites and do not participate in those sites where you are posting your listing up or other and saying we're offering a 2% buyer's commission or something like that. That will 100% get you in trouble. Don't use those sites. They are starting to pop up. This would be the back of the postcard. And again, you can do whatever you want. You're going to put the stamp up here in the corner. You're going to put the mailing label on the back right in here and just put your info here. What info do you put? Okay, I mean, I have, a fair amount of experience in this business. Let's say you've never sold a home, you sold very few homes. You talk about what you're going to provide them for the listing. You're going to do professional photos. You're going to do professional, not doesn't have to be professional. You're going to do, a video walkthrough. You're going to promote it on social media. You're going to do all these things, for their home for that 1% fee. That's what I used to do on my crappy little flyer. And when I say my flyer was crappy, it was so bad. And it didn't even matter because of the value proposition I gave of a 1.5% listing fee. And I said all of the things that I would do for that 1.5% listing fee. And I always got listings from those flyers, no matter how bad they looked. They were really bad. I wish I had a copy of them so I can show, but I definitely do not have that anymore. But it was really bad. But the value proposition was so strong that people just called. It was easy. It's the same thing today. These things work, postcards work, but you have to use data to develop your mailing list, just like I showed you. It's very easy. That is a very important aspect of it though. If you're targeting areas that have less than 12 sales that have happened in the past 12 months, the chances of you taking a listing start decreasing over the next 6 months. You want the high turnover neighborhoods to get started. And then once you get that first listing and you sell it, you can start duplicating this and start hitting a second neighborhood using the same parameters and the same flyer technique. And now you got 2 of them going. And now maybe you're spending $300 a month, but now your listing opportunities have doubled, So that's how you start building it out, and you just duplicate it into the various neighborhoods. And then once you have your marketing budget built up a little bit, because you have consistent business coming in, if you want to then start hitting the neighborhoods like your own neighborhood or neighborhoods where you want to start breaking into, then you can start doing the mailers there as well. But you have to know that, if it's a low volume sales area, that, you may not get as many listings as you're wanting to from those particular neighborhoods. So that's why I say leave the emotions out of this and go use the data to develop your list and have a high value proposition, one that they cannot turn down. Lots of ways to contact you and consistency. You have to send these out at least once a month. But now, like I said, the cost is very inexpensive. Another one, there are many Spanish speaking homeowners in an area I know has turnover. Should I refer them? Should I refer them out or co-op? You can refer them out. If you speak Spanish, maybe you want to put, say, habla español or some other language on here. You can put that on here too. I mean, I would definitely put that on here if you're working in an area that has high turnover that you want to start marketing to. But yeah, maybe you want to team up with someone who does speak the language. We have a lot of agents here that speak a lot of different languages. We probably have someone in-house that would be happy to partner with you on the listing. And you could just tag team it that way there. You still keep that person in your database as someone you've worked with and sphere of influence and all that other stuff. So anyone in our office, Norwalk, yeah, we have agents in Norwalk. So if you're in the Norwalk area, Manny would, like to potentially team up with you. So any other questions? Hopefully I kind of laid this out to where it makes as much sense as possible and not too confusing. I'm happy to help you with these. If you want to set up a separate meeting with me one-on-one, I can help you get your campaign going. We do have, like I said, this whole Canva file. If you want us to develop your flyer, and don't get too caught up on the look and feel too much. We want this to be a high impact, no BS kind of postcard going to their mailbox, okay? On a 6-month campaign, using value propositions like this and call to actions like this and the data for your mailing list, I would be shocked if you don't do 2 to 3 sides for, the money you spend. But again, even if you only took one, which I think the odds would be very little of that, you're paying about $1,000 total to get that listing, which again is still far cheaper than any Zillow Flex or pay at close model out there when you have to give them 35%. So this is shockingly a cheaper way to generate a listing, even if you were to run Google pay-per-click ads, you would have to spend probably at least $150 a month just in Google pay-per-click ads for a similar campaign to potentially get a listing. Listings online are a little harder to generate. You really have to have a very strong value proposition. And again, you got to spend money on those Google pay-per-clicks, and you're probably going to spend $150 or more to potentially get a listing appointment that month. It's probably going to be every couple months if you were to do it online, or you'd have to spend more money. We saw the NAR data, right in the beginning, that over 60% of the listings come from sphere of influence. So 65%. So this is a way for you to get new business, to kickstart it over the next couple of years. You will get business from it, and to start, building up that database again, or for the first time, so that you can get to the old school phase of your career where you're just maintaining database and getting all these referrals. So it does take time, but it is a glorious place to be when you're in this business and you've been in the business for 10, 15 years and you're at this point where you're just working off referrals. It's a glorious place to be, but you do have to put in the work in the beginning to do that. So hopefully this helps some of you. Again, if you want these, these campaigns, where to have them done up, email Roxanne at info@riserealtyca.com. She'll put your picture, your contact, all that stuff on there, and you can go ahead and order your mailers. Like I said, I did Vistaprint. look online for coupons. Leo, he's in our Facebook group. He just did this. I think he got a discount. He found a coupon code or something like that for Vistaprint. He got him even cheaper, or he got free postage or something. I'm not sure. And then the Avery labels, I think he actually got from Title Rep, but again, we're talking $20, $25, for 3,000 of those things. So very, very small startup cost to this, and a very manageable monthly fee to have a very high intent listing campaign going. So really appreciate everybody jumping on. I'm probably not going to post this one on YouTube because I'd like to keep it in-house, but I will post this with the presentation materials so you can references. There's a couple of links in there. I'm going to post in Facebook group later today, so watch out for that. And feel free to give me a call. I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of mailers. How I built my listing business. They do work no matter how long ago or recently. I've done them recently as well, just to test these out, and these do work. We have agents that have taken listings from them. I have also. So thank you for coming, and give me a call if you need anything, and I hope you have a great week.